We made it to the Sand Patch Summit. It's kind of hard to see out this window, but if I go outside to the outside camera, you can definitely see we're on the summit here. Welcome back to Train Sim World, where we are playing U876-D, the last part of the 4-part mission of delivering coal to Cumberland itself. And as you can see, we got just the 2 engines there. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to go set up that second engine back there. So with us in the second engine, this is officially trailing 2, and in order to set up trailing 2, we're going to turn on our number lights here. We're going to put our headlight control to short hood trail. We don't need any distributed power, so make sure that's shut off. We're going to shut off the radio because we don't need radio in this engine. We're going to sit down in the cab. We're going to make sure that our independent brake is off, our automatic brake is off, or shall I say release and off. We're going to make sure over here on our air brake screen, it says cut out and trail. We are good here. And we're going to drop down to the bottom corner. Why they put this here, I don't even know. We're going to turn off engine run. We're going to leave gen field off. We're going to turn off control of fuel pump. And we're going to turn off dynamic brakes in this engine. If I'm understanding this right, if by doing this all 3 off, you divert all of the power into the main engine. And the main engine ends up being the one that controls all of this stuff together. And with that, we don't have to worry about the light. We don't have to worry about anything else in this train. This train is officially set up as the trailing engine. So let's get out of this train and hop into the main engine. Okay, let's get out of the freezing rain, my goodness. In this engine, the lights are off. So we're going to turn on our cab lights up here. Cab dome light, the one we're looking for, so we can see everything that we want to see. We're going to turn headlight control to short hood lead because our front end is the short hood there. We're going to sit down in our seat. We're going to not touch this. We're actually going to touch this one in full service. We're going to put this one in full application just to make sure we have our brakes on so we don't accidentally roll away. We're going to go into our air brake screen by pressing IFD1. Right now everything says cut out trail. Make sure to select cut in and lead, so F3 and F4 in here, and make especially sure to hit F6 to save it. So when it looks like this on the screen, you've got it made, and then you can go ahead and hit the exit button for this. Down here, we want to make sure the gen field is turned on. That's the only one that's turned off. Everything else in this row, engine run, gen field, control, fuel pump, dynamic brakes are all officially turned on already in this engine. And because it is June 14th, we are just going to put on a little cool air just to stay nice and chill in this rail car, because we're going to need it, because it's going to be a nail biter going down the hill here. We're also going to turn the fan on just for a little bit. I don't need just a whole lot of speed there, just a teeny tiny little bit of the fan. And I like having the desk light here, and I like having the cab light, and I especially like the window wipers. I'm going to put it about 80, 87. That should be good enough. I probably don't need the one over there, but what I am going to do is I'm going to get up and turn on the one over there anyways. I'm going to put this one on to about 87 or so. 83 will be fine. I won't need these back windows because I won't be looking out of those back windows. Big thing, the radio is on and distributed power is turned on. That's a big thing to make sure our engine connect and talk to each other. And you could turn on banking comm, but we're not necessarily needing it to communicate to any engine behind us, so no worries there. Looking at our timetable here, our job is to go to via location, the Sand Patch Main eastbound. I think it'd be a little bit important to see this. So the Sand Patch Main eastbound is actually the summit. So we're looking to climb to the summit for our first via location. Then we're going to Glencoe, Hyndman, and then eventually Cumberland Receiving Yard Track 7. And to point out where yard track 7 is, we are actually going down into this bottom yard out here. In fact, you can kind of see where this train's sitting here. That's roughly where we're going to be. We're going to be probably right next to it. So we have a long trip to go on. It's probably going to take me 2-3 hours to drive this train. For you guys, hopefully, if it works out well, a 30-minute episode. So to move our train, as usual, we're going to go ahead and put the reverser to forward. Turn on our bell because that's very important. Check with the singler. Singler says proceed as single with indicate. Throw up our throttle to N1, and I'm going to go outside the camera when I do this, and we're going to go ahead and release our automatic brake and release our independent brake. It's going to take just a little bit for this to get to 89. We're going to go down here to where the wheels are, and we're doing this from camera 3, and I want you to kind of watch what happens on camera 3. If you look at this very carefully, these wheels are indeed moving. This whole segment of track right now is dry, everything ahead of this track is completely soaked. As I add more throttle power, there's a more likelihood of the wheels slipping in this train. And what you don't want to do is accidentally lock the wheels down. That's like the worst thing you could do. So you just kind of take the throttle nice and slow. You should be able to do this on throttle 3 to get your train finally rolling and moving along. And you can kind of see my wheels are turning. They're going very slowly. And this bouncing amperes here is literally the wheel slipping issue. Alright folks, our train's finally moving. It took about throttle 4 to finally make that happen. I'm only staying down here. We're going to blow the horn twice. And you can see we have a, I believe it's a 35-mile-an-hour zone coming up, about 1,000 feet, so no worries there. Our train's finally moving. Throttle 4, we're just going to leave it alone. We're going to roll ourselves up to, oh gosh, 15 miles an hour. And we're just going to see how this rolls on by. Our first problem, one, is getting up to the sand patch grade. There's our friend right there. I'm not going to honk the horn because I learned my lesson last time when I did this. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to turn on the lights. Oh my gosh. Front headlights, right, auxiliary, back headlights, leave it off. I can't believe I forgot the headlights. There we go. Now I can see in front of me. I just realized that when that guy had the headlights on. We want to be extra careful with wheel slippage here. We don't see the water really in the way the wheels work on this game, but we do want to be careful because two issues we have. We wheel slip because we try to go fast as we're going uphill, or we wheel slip as we're trying to slow down going downhill. And the most important one is if you're going downhill, just turn the brakes off and then start over again to try to stop those wheels. That's the idea. Going uphill is a little bit different. Going uphill, all you have to do is cut back on the throttle to stop the wheel slip. You might have to cut it down quite a ways to maybe restart things. Equally important is trying to be able to see the whistle stop signs from way back here. They kind of blend into the environment. If you're out on the outside, you're probably going to see it almost every time, especially if you're not distracted like me trying to do YouTube video on top of trying to talk to you guys, on top of trying to drive a train, on top of trying to use the dynamic brakes, on top of dealing with this rainstorm which will not let up until we get to the bottom, and on top of the fog in this entire area. I'll probably miss the whistle stop unless you can memorize where things are. Retirement made easy, honest bills. He is getting very popular, I noticed. Something else I'm appreciating, if you saw that lightning bolt in the distance, listen very carefully. And we're going to go right back to camera 3. Isn't that the awesomest thing ever? So that lightning bolt that was sitting right in front of us, the sound traveled all the way back here. So you can hear it again, there's that one there, and eventually it makes its way all the way back here, and you can eventually hear it all the way in the back. And it's really cool that Dovetail Games incorporated the lightning effect, that it actually has traveling sound waves. It's not like it just goes off somewhere over there and you just hear it, and they have the same sound between the front and the back of the engine. There's actually a different sound between the front and the back of the engine. It's really cool that they incorporated this in the game. So one of the advantages of Notch 7 is at least you cut back on the amount of power and torque that's being driven to the wheels. It basically puts your train at a stop at some point, but you don't want to lose your power, you don't want to lose your speed. You want to try to preserve it as long as you can, and I'm currently going 22 miles an hour. My kilopounds over there and the amperes is doing okay. It's starting to climb. You can see it went from 58 to 59 right there. And the longer I can kind of keep this going, the better it's going to be. My train's going to slow down on its own anyways. And what we're looking for is the grade to even off. But even though I've got to even off the grade, I've got all of this sitting up on 1.5% grade here. And I don't want to deal with the rest of my cars that are all behind me being up on the grade. And the downhill will come after the tunnel. And we have essentially to hit two different things at the same time. And we hope we don't have to stop, because trying to stop this coal train is going to be kind of difficult. Alright folks, we've made it to the Sand Patch Summit. It's kind of hard to see out this window, but if I go outside to the outside camera, you can definitely see we're on the summit here. We're at a 1.2% grade. I'm still maintaining about 21 miles an hour. My amperes are doing okay at 62, 63. We got our VIA location coming up in 2,000 feet, but our red light over there is at 4,000 feet. We don't care about the speed over there because we're already going way below that. That was a big giant lightning bolt right there. Okay folks, here's the test. Sorry about the lightning bolt and the thunder there, but here's the test. 100 feet away, we're going to see what that light does right up ahead. And do we have green clearance? We have green clearance. We don't have to worry about stopping. Our goal now is to head to Glencoe. Why am I calling it Glencoe? It's Glencoe. I gotta remember Glencoe. Alright folks, we've hit the downswing We're finally going 0.5% down. We're going to go ahead and down throttle here to about 5. And we're going to try to see if we can coast at 5 and hope for the best. We're heading into the tunnel. Once we pop out on the other end, oh, I got to show you the tunnel. The tunnel is so much fun. So look at the tunnel. You can see the other end over there. But as soon as our train goes into the tunnel, everything just darkens and just disappears forever. And you never know where the other end is until you finally pop out. It's such a trip. So folks, I've had to turn on the dynamic brake here. I'm about to break the speed limit here. And it says I'm over speed limit because you can see my speedometer on my screen there is ahead of the speedometer that's over here now. So we're going to slow my train down a touch. Our AP points again is 6,200. We're at 1475. We have a long way to go, so we have plenty of time to try to get our numbers up. And I should show you this. We're getting 500 points for the via location, so we're good on the via location. So this means we're going to get 2,000 points at least on via alone. And everything else is going to be based on how well we drive our train. So the back end of my train car is finally coming out of the tunnel. And our goal with managing the dynamic brake here, as you can see, we have 1.7% grade. We're slowly climbing up in terms of speed here. Our goal is to keep our speed between 20 and 30. We don't ever want to try to go over 30 as much as we can. We want to try to stay under 30. And what we want to do is just manage our speed and try to keep it as best we can at 25 miles an hour. And anytime it goes above that, we add a little more dynamic brake. Anytime it goes below that, we take off a couple more notches of dynamic brake. As you can see there, I'm about to hit 25 miles an hour. I'm just going to kind of coast this as best I can. And if we need to, we engage minimum reduction for the automatic brake. And that should at least slow it down. And to avoid the wheel slip, we don't want to do anything drastic. We don't want to panic. So you can already see that's going up a little bit faster than I anticipated. So I just add a couple more notches to dynamic brake here. And I've still got room for one more. And if it's going to go to 28, which it is, I'm going to go ahead and go just give it all the dynamic brake. And if this one here looks like it's going to hit 30, what I'm going to do with this one, as soon as that says 30, I'm going to go ahead and hit minimum reduction, as you can see there. And the minimum reduction is enough to slow this down. If we have to, we could do another notch or two up, but I don't want to do that. Minimum reduction is more than enough. And when you're slowing down, this one's going to be the one to pay attention to make sure that your speed limit starts to drop if you happen to use this. Otherwise, you'll just use the main screen that you see there. Alright guys, here's that 25 zone. I almost missed it. I'm at 27 miles an hour, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to add a little bit more automatic brakes, slow my train nice and easy. Don't want to overdo it. There's a whistle stop ahead on top of this. We're going to just kind of be here in case I accidentally wheel slip here. We're just going to drop my speed limit just a little bit under 25. This 25 zone, it goes for quite a while, and we're actually almost down to Glencoe. And once we get closer to Glencoe, it will eventually switch back to 35, so don't worry about this so much. Pay more attention, I think, to the fact about the grade steepness, the fact of about how slow or how fast your engine's really moving. Make sure you're working with your dynamic brakes, and make sure you're only using your air brakes if you need the air brakes. Notice what I said, if you need the air brakes, not use them exclusively. Don't rely on the air brakes. Don't rely on the independent brakes to slow this train down. You want to use those to stop your train. I still don't know why they didn't take that little blinky red light there from the front of the engine and just stick it on the back of the rail cars, but whatever, it's done, it's fine, I get it. We're just going to be Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer here going through the fog and ice and snow. Totally fine, I'm okay with that. Glencoe is coming up here. Once we pass Glencoe, our next stop's going to be Hyndman. The challenge with we'll put it this way, we just dealt with the easy challenge, didn't we? Trying to just deal with a slow glide downhill. We're doing the same thing here, and I'm actually going to be turning down my dynamic brakes just a little bit. And I'm just going to be paying attention to see when the dynamic brakes kind of start picking up again. And if I have to turn it back up, I'll turn it back up. But what I'm getting at here, that first piece was just the first horseshoe turn going at 1.5 to 2% grade all the way down from the sand patch grade up here. Now we have to do the same thing going through all of these twists and curves until we get to Hyndman. Once we get to Hyndman and we see our 50 mile an hour zone, you pretty much know you got this made, but you still got to work your engine as best you can. So folks, the area between Glencoe and Fairhope ranges anywhere between 0.8% grade and 1.2% grade. And as you can see, my grade is climbing. We just move up the dynamic brake little by little, move it up to notch 5, start with that. If it's still climbing, just go ahead and add a couple extra notches. We also have to deal with crossings as well as we go along, and so, you know, blow your horn. do your thing. Be that engineer that can make this go through nice and smooth sailing, right? No panic at all. Right, we don't panic when we do this. All right, folks, we got some extreme fog here. I can barely see, I don't even know, not even a quarter mile. I can't even see that sign that said I've driven 100 miles in the AT4400 CW. So, lucky me. So I'm probably going to have to put on some minimum reduction to slow me down a touch. But I love the way the graphics kind of portray everything. It's actually really well done. Kudos to Dovetail Game for doing it this way, and kudos for just looking the way it looks. I'm sure somebody's got a complaint somewhere about the graphics and the design of the graphics, but I think it looks fantastic, and I think it's actually gorgeous. So folks, I don't think you realize this, but Dovetail Game did include realistic boxcars here. I'm impressed by those, because they put a boxcar in the very back of the tank car, and you always do that. In the event you have a derailment, you have a boxcar that can kind of protect things in the back, or if you have an accident and a crash, that boxcar does basically come in handy to prevent the crashes and whatnot. Very good on the company for doing that. I love how they just incorporate that little extra sense of detail. We're coming into Hyndman as we speak here, and even though the main via location is quite a ways down the line, we don't have to worry about that. What we're going to do with our dynamic brakes is just drop it down to notch 1 and let our train kind of naturally speed up here. Then we might pick it up to notch 2 after that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it safe here. I'm going to play it safe by trying to stay about 40 miles an hour. Just in case that red light does not change, I still have at least 2,000 feet or so to slow down and just have some safety margin for error. And so I'm just going to keep myself roughly at 40 miles an hour. I'm going to cross my fingers here. And as I roll through that, I'm just going to hope that I'm completely wrong and the light's going to turn green right when I come up on it, or I'm going to end up ending the mission right here, right now. And I don't want to do that with 3,000 feet ahead of me and 40 miles an hour and a train that's just going down in a rainy day here. So let's see. Green light, green light, green light. Give it to me. Oh, whoa. I almost didn't get it. But I decided to trust the process a little bit. So now I'm just going to go ahead and drop down to notch 4, notch 3, notch 2, whatever it is. Get myself to 50 miles an hour, and all we gotta do is head over to Cumberland Receiving Yard Track 7. Folks, we've hit 5,000 AP points. We know there's an extra 500 for the last stop, so we're at 5,500 AP points at this point, and we need 6,200, so that basically leaves us another 500 plus another 200, so about 700 AP points between here and Cumberland Yard. Even though Cumberland Yard is 11 miles away, what we do have to remember, there's a 35 zone roughly around Viaduct Junction, and then that eventually will turn into a unfortunate like 15-mile jaunt. Folks, we're coming up on the town of Ellerslie here. We've at least made it to the bottom, and as you can see here, we have our 35 zone coming up here. So something important for us to remember is to get this train slowed down to 35 in 2.3 miles. Welcome to the city of Cumberland, where we're rolling our train in for our final destination at Yard Track 7, quite a ways out there. I'm just going to slow myself up a little bit more because we're coming up on that 15 zone, and we're probably going to want to kind of be underneath 15 before we actually hit that zone there. It would really suck to roll over that zone and not be at 15. So let's go ahead and do a little bit more. There it goes. I've totally lost track of my whistle as I'm trying to do that. I think I've got it made roughly. We just passed Cumberland Station, folks, and we got about 3 miles or so before we hit receiving track number 7. We do have a 35 zone, which is really helpful. That will help us kind of get other stuff moving a little bit faster to cover that 3-mile-an-hour zone. We're going to throw on a little bit of dynamic brakes just to get this train to slow down a touch. You can see that we hit 6270, so we're officially over for the gold medal, so we don't have to worry about a whole lot for the rest of this mission at least. We at least know we got our gold medal, and we're pretty much on a safe zone here. We're just going to drop our speed down just a touch until we hit, I don't know, 12 miles an hour, and that should be good. The train that is directly behind us, he is about a single back before us there. He's moving along in, and he's actually on a yellow single there too. So at some point, I have a feeling he's either going to stop here or he's going to start going to a different track. And I'm really curious what track he goes to and where he's ending up in the end of the day. So with us coming up on our stop at about 7,000 feet, this is a good time to show you how close that single really is. So we're at 7,000 feet for the stop, 8,000 feet for the single. So that's not very much room to slow down and stop a train in time before you accidentally run through the single. It's really close, and it's not worth the risk. So, you know, take your time stopping towards the end of this mission. not to waste like 2-something hours of your driving time, especially. That's what's really important here. So our switches are already moving us towards track 7, so all we gotta do is just kind of coast away. Look at that. I don't know what that's, the sun or the moon, but it looks kind of like a creepy eye looking at me here. This is the Eye of Sauron of Train Sim World, right? So it turns out that, is it that train that's behind me? No, it's not. Turns out that train behind me is actually going down the same road I'm going. Maybe he's going to a receiving yard, but there's another train also behind me that's just coming off the hump yard there, and he's going somewhere. I wonder if he's going to be taking these trains to the hump yard itself, or if he's just going to be going where we're going. Who knows? We're going to find out soon. Maybe, depending if the mission ends first or not. So it looks like the train that's behind me is just going straight down the main line, and he's not even going to be stopping anywhere where I am. So he's going to be passing me pretty soon. This other guy's going through some hump yard switching and yard shunting. It's really cool to see the AI do some dynamic stuff out here and really just make this yard seem a little bit more alive than it looks when you're just like the only one coming down into the receiving yard. And it's really great that Dovetail Games managed to make this work really well in terms of having not only the train we're driving, but also the trains of other AI drivers, which is really neat to see. So here comes that train. Oh my god, that was a crazy lightning blast right there. Here comes that train that was following us from behind, so he's going to be passing us very shortly. We've got about 1,000 feet to stop. After that, we've only got 200 feet to fully stop in order to avoid running into the red light over there. And so it's kind of fun that this is the guy that had to deal with us going all the way down the mountainside, but there he goes. He's finally passing us for the first time today. Isn't that just amazing? What I'm doing with my train, I'm just letting it coast along. And I was really wondering where that other train was going to end up. I was wondering if he's going to park in the yard, but I guess he's going to continue on through to the next destination. So folks, as usual, please do like and subscribe and let me know what you guys are thinking about the episode here, and give me an idea of your thoughts about Train Sim World 2, Train Sim World 3, Train Sim World 4, or whatever it is now, Train Sim World 100. Give me your thoughts about the game and give me your thoughts about Sand Patch Grade. Love to hear from you guys and kind of what you're thinking there. We're going to go ahead and get our train to fully stop at minimum reduction. That should be enough to do it. And with us stopping, we're going to put ourselves in full service. Let's see what we got for our final score. 73-10 is a really great score. Despite some speeding, we did pretty well. We got a gold medal. I don't know where the heck my gold medal is. This is very odd. Come on, gold medal, show up. Why don't you show up? I bet she's on the main screen. That's just dumb. This happened before in my other game, and I thought it was just a glitch because it's because I saved the game. That's why it doesn't show up on here. So if you didn't believe I got a gold medal, there's my gold medal right there. 73-10 was my AP score, as you saw there, and we passed it at 6,200. We got about 4 more of these to do, and we're pretty much done with Train Sim World for the Sand Patch Grade, at least for now, as far as I know, for the first game that ever came out for Train Sim World. So this is actually really good. Next one's going to be a long mission as well, and you can see it's going to be a wet one. We're going to find out. In the meantime, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and I will see you all for the next one. Bye, folks. Ben. And I'm going to hope I don't get dragged along too far. There it goes. Objective complete. There's nobody in this engine, right? Nobody's in this one. Let's go ahead and figure out what's up with this. Go along path. Where did these guys come from? Where did these 2 ladies come from? Honestly, I don't know where they came from. Okay, I better get off this engine because I'm gonna get dragged away way too far, and I'm probably gonna ruin my game. So let's get out of this. Oh my God,